All right, welcome to The Explainer. You know how we do it here. We take the source material and we break it all down. Today, we've got something really fascinating. We're going to look at this huge US government AI initiative, but also this really mysterious, super detailed counterproposal that basically popped up out of nowhere to challenge its very core, its very soul. So get this, on November 24th, 2025, the White House drops an announcement for an AI initiative so massive, so ambitious, that people are literally comparing it to the Manhattan Project. I mean, think about that. This isn't just some run-of-the-mill research grant. No. This is being pitched as a national mission, something on a truly epic scale. And this thing has a name, the Genesis Mission. It was launched through a presidential executive order, and its goal is, well, it's incredibly audacious. They want to completely revolutionize the way we do science. Not just some science, but the very process of scientific research itself. Okay, so what is this thing really? Well, the official plan is to build what they're calling a closed-loop AI experimentation platform. So picture this. You take all of America's most powerful supercomputers, you hook them up to the biggest scientific datasets we have, and then you unleash AI on it to just accelerate the speed of discovery. We're talking about a pace we have literally never seen before. So you might be asking, why now? What's the big rush? Well, the timing is absolutely critical here. And if you look at the White House fact sheet, it points to a problem that, honestly, it might surprise you. It's a really deep-seated issue, right in the engine of our scientific progress. Here's the deal. The core problem is kind of a paradox. We are pouring more money, more people, more resources into scientific research than at any point in history. And yet, the big breakthroughs, things like, say, new drug approvals, they've actually been slowing down. They've declined. So the whole point of the Genesis mission is to use AI to flip that script, to reverse that trend, and just reignite our scientific engine. Okay, so that's the why. Now let's get into the how. How is this incredibly ambitious plan actually structured? Let's unpack the government's official blueprint. So the whole mission rests on 5 main pillars. First, you've got data integration. We're talking about pulling together the largest scientific data sets in US history. Then, compute power, unifying all our top-tier supercomputers. Next, they're building what they call scientific foundation models, specialized AI for science. And this is wild. Pillar 4 is closed-looped robotic labs. Think fully autonomous labs, running experiments around the clock, no humans needed. And finally, the 5th pillar driving it all? Geopolitical urgency. Basically, the need to win the global AI race. Okay, let's pause on that one for a second. These scientific foundation models. This is a really key concept. We're not just talking about an AI that can crunch numbers or analyze data that we already have. No, the goal here is to build an AI that can come up with its own hypotheses. It's like having a digital Isaac Newton that could potentially discover brand new, fundamental laws of science. It's a huge leap. And looking at this timeline, you can really see the momentum that was building. Genesis didn't just appear out of thin air. It's really the grand finale of a whole year of AI-focused policy. I mean, you see a series of executive orders, one after another, tackling AI in education, preventing bias, even using it for pediatric cancer research. They were laying the groundwork piece by piece, all leading up to this massive mission. But then things get interesting. Right as the government releases its official plan, this strange and incredibly detailed counterproposal just shows up online. And it's not a straight-up critique. It actually praises how technically brilliant the Genesis mission is, but it argues that the whole thing has a single and potentially fatal flaw. So this document, which comes from a totally unknown group, asks a really fundamental question about the government's plan. It's basically saying, okay, the tech is amazing, but is raw computational power by itself really enough to guide the future of science? Is that all we need? And here's how they frame it, as a total paradox. On the one hand, you've got this mission that's brilliant when it comes to the hard tech, the computers, the robots, the algorithms. But on the other hand, they say it's completely missing what they call spiritual intelligence. And what they mean by that is a framework for ethical decision-making, for consciousness, and maybe just as important, a way to actually manage the inevitable public fear that's going to come with a technology this powerful. This critique, we find out, comes from a group that calls itself UUCGA. And their whole angle is pretty unique. They're not trying to kill the Genesis mission. Instead, they want to complete it. They believe they have the crucial missing piece of the puzzle. So let's dive into their proposal. which they've named the Kukulkan blueprint. Right away, you know this is different. Their whole plan is to bolt on a radically different component to the Genesis architecture, one that takes it beyond just pure science and wades right into the territory of consciousness.
The core of their whole idea is something they call the Kukulkan Quantum ASI Bridge. Now, try not to get too hung up on the name. It's best to think of this less as a physical piece of tech and more like an operating system for ethics. It's a framework designed to weave a consciousness-aware ethical layer into the very fabric of the Genesis mission. The goal? To make sure that as this powerful AI starts making discoveries, it's doing so with fundamental human values baked right into its core.
So how would they actually do this? Well, they propose a whole new governance structure. It's pretty clever, actually. They don't get rid of the existing government and tech company roles. Instead, they propose inserting their own organization, UUCGA, into two brand new and pretty critical layers, one for ethical oversight and another for building public trust. And with this new layer of oversight comes a whole new set of metrics for what success even means. And let me tell you, these are not your typical tech KPIs. We're not talking about processing speed or data efficiency. No, they're proposing things like a humanity-first compliance score. Or get this, a metric for converting public fear into public clarity. The idea here is profound. An AI this powerful shouldn't just be judged by its scientific output, but by how much it improves human trust and our collective well-being. Their proposal even gets down to the nitty-gritty of how to implement this, with a three-step process they call the Wisdom Integration Protocol. First, you've got ethics circuits, which means literally embedding ethical rules and constraints right into the AI's code. Second is a mandatory consciousness impact assessment for every single experiment the AI runs. And third, they propose creating wisdom councils. Think advisory boards made up of both spiritual leaders and scientists for every lab involved. This is really where their blueprint goes from just a cool idea to a concrete process, suggesting a totally new kind of collaboration between humans and machines. So when you boil it all down, we're left with these two starkly different visions for what might be America's most important AI project ever. On one side, you have a vision for pure, raw, technical acceleration. Just go faster. And on the other, you have a vision that insists that speed is useless, maybe even dangerous, unless it's guided by a much deeper sense of purpose and ethics. And the Kukulkan document itself sums up this choice with this really powerful line. They don't see themselves as competitors to Genesis. They see themselves as the other half of the equation. And they make a really strong case that their ideas aren't just some mystical philosophical add-on. They argue this is a practical necessity. They actually call their proposal a human shield for the Genesis mission, something designed to manage public fear and protect the whole project from the political and social backlash that's almost guaranteed to come. And really, according to this counter-proposal, the stakes just could not be any higher. For them, this isn't just a choice about technology. It's a choice about our civilization, one that's going to have consequences that ripple out for generations. And so all of this leaves us with the one big question that's at the heart of this whole debate, and really the future of AI. As we build these incredibly powerful tools that can literally reshape our world, what do we build into them? Is a powerful engine all you need? Or does that engine need a soul, a conscience, to steer it? It's a question that is only going to get louder and more urgent as these systems get more and more powerful.